Well, hello. It's very nice to see that there are so many marketing lovers here in Epoka. Actually, for me personally, this is maybe the third time that I've had a chance to discuss with students about real experiences in marketing, which for those that really love marketing are quite interesting. And I think that it's really important that as students you don't just learn by heart what you actually study in your books. They're really good for you to know, but it's more important for you to develop some critical thinking on what you read. So I would encourage everybody here to participate as much as possible in clubs like this, but also other activities that will help you get into the real world. Because once the studying is done, then there is a whole world of opportunities that you can grab, but you can also miss. Today, I would like to have it a little bit engaging as more of a conversation with you, rather than just to give you another theoretical approach. The experience in Telecom has been unique in many ways. First, because it is the first company in Albania to have merged with another big brand, which was Eagle Mobile. I'm sure all of you know Telecom. It's a company that you and your parents and grandparents have lived with and known it for a long time. Probably most of you were born when Telecom was about 60 years old. So maybe even actually older than that. So it's a very well-known brand. It's a huge company. However, for a long time, it was recognized as this big giant that was moving rather slowly and couldn't keep up with the pace of everything else that was going on in the market. On the other hand, Eagle Mobile, that was owned by the same group, Charlie Holding, was a much younger company. It was the third mobile operator that entered into the country. First, positioning itself as the local operator with cheaper tariffs, so positioned as the affordable company in the market. A position that didn't sustain for quite long, and I'm going to get there as to why in a moment. So last year, the two companies merged into one. So now there is only Telecom. However, Telecom has two brands, Telecom and Eagle Mobile. It is very important for you guys to recognize what a brand is. And as we go through the presentation, you will also understand why. What's important behind the brand and how is it different from just having a company. I'm not sure if what year of your studies everybody here, but I believe you should at least have an idea of what a brand is. So if I ask just that, if I ask you what is a brand, can anybody here tell me what do they think it is, what understanding you have of a brand? Marketing lovers, come on. Okay, so let me do it another way around. So I will mention some names, some brand names, and then you will tell me what do you think about them, or what do they represent to you. So if I say Coca-Cola, yeah, what does it say to you?
Brand is an identity, a name. So you have the logo in your mind.
Okay, so if you have the logo in your mind, if I say Kurum, do you know what Kurum's logo is? Exactly. So, absolutely. So you think that a brand is something that identifies a company amongst other many, right? So in order to identify a company, what do you usually need?
You need the logo, a motto,
logo, a slogan,
experience.
Exactly.
You need brand recognition.
Yes, but what is brand recognition?
What is the perception starting from the name, the logo, the name, what do people think in the first time when they see or they heard about this?
Right.
You said Coca-Cola. The recognition of Coca-Cola is as the drink of happiness. You want to replace the word happiness with Coca-Cola.
Okay, you mentioned two very interesting and important things there. First, you say the drink. Second, of happiness. First, it's important because you realize there is a product behind it. So, first of all, a brand has to deal with a product or a service, something that you are selling or offering into the market. So, Coca-Cola is a drink. The second one, which is also very, very important, is what you said second, of happiness. So, you have a product and you've got some attachment to it. In your example, it was an emotional attachment to it, an adjective that describes some sort of emotion. If I say Nike, what do you think Nike is? It's a shoe? What is it?
Sports.
It's a sports. Yep.
No game, just sport.
Exactly. No game, just sport. So, what I'm trying to get at is that a brand is not simply a name, it is not simply a vehicle, a logo that you will see everywhere. These are, of course, important elements of a brand in order to have more recognition amongst people, so that all the companies, so that they have it easy as you drive along, as you walk along. When you see their vehicle, in this case being the logo, you recognize what actually the company is selling or what the name is. However, a brand is much more than just a name. What is marketing amongst many other things? What does it do? We have companies on one end, and we have people on the other hand. And we need a bridge between these two. So, as a company, Telecom or any other company needs to communicate to the people what are they selling, what are they doing, what are they offering in the market. Be this a product, be this a service, it doesn't matter. So in that regard, especially in terms of this brand exercise that I will show you here, it is very important for marketing to be this missing puzzle here, the bridge that is connecting the people to the company. But how do we do that? Carl Gustav Jung, is one of the most famous psychologists in the theory and practice of psychology. And he says, people cannot tell you why they think and they behave a certain way, simply because they do not know why. Going a little bit deeper into that, I can give you another example. Does anybody, or did anybody 10 years ago or 15 years ago think they needed a mobile phone? I don't think so, because people usually do not need something that doesn't exist. However, somebody decides to make people's lives easier, communication easier, and then invents a device that can actually communicate on wireless, that you can take it anywhere with you, and addresses this specific need for more communication, and then develops a product which is a mobile phone, without having the need for a mobile phone. So very often, as marketeers, you will find yourself addressing questions that at first glance seem so not important, but actually are at the very heart of marketing. And remember this, that when actually you go out there and start working, when it gets far too complicated, just go back to the very basics and you will see that you will find great answers and end up with great campaigns. At Telecom, before going on with the decision to actually merge the two brands and start a rebranding process, there were many questions ahead of us. Do we keep both brands? Do we keep them separate as they are? Do we keep one of them and drop the other? Do we drop both of them at the same time and come up with a totally new brand name? It was very important to go through also a psychological exercise, not of us internally, which of course we did in the company, but also through focus group to the customers to understand what did they think about Telecom, what did they think about Eagle, what did they think about mobile brands in general, what do they associate with it, which one is better, do we keep them all or do we just drop them all? In following this path, we followed a model, a psychodiagnostics model, which is provided by Adler. It is very interesting because at the very center of this model is the individual, the human being, me, you, and he explains the very basic need of an individual to be in one of two dimensions, either to be open to new ideas, to new experiences, to be open to sharing with the world, or to be a little bit of a control freak. So our need, our hidden need, to be in control of our finances, in control of the environment where we live, in control of our families, of our children, of our parents sometimes, or parents to the children, or to the grandparents, and so on and so forth. In a second dimension, he puts our desire as individual on one hand, our need for affirmation, to be recognized as individuals with a specific personality, with specific achievements, as being different or apart from everybody else. So, I am Floreta, I have achieved this and this and that, and this is my need to be different from everybody else. However, at the same time, people also have this need to belong to a bigger group. So yes, I am Floreta, I have done this and that sets me apart from everybody else, but I also belong to different groups. I belong to a company. I belong to a social network. I belong to a family. So at the same time, I've got this need of belonging. It can be a small group or it can be a bigger group. And these two dimensions are very, very strong in determining how brands connect to people. What he does, basically, right after determining these two very important aspects of how we want to relate internally and externally to the world around us and to ourselves, then he puts also some middle ground. So yes, we have this need to enjoy life and to release, the need for openness that we mentioned earlier. And yes, we have this very strong need for control, some more than others. We do have this strong need for belonging, but also for self-affirmation. And in between those, there are also some middle grounds. It's not just black and white, right? So there is a need for conviviality, for security, for recognition, and for vitality. Each one of these little circles represents a number of different emotions that are attached to it, a number of different traits of personality or character that you will find are very similar between the brands that aspire to have them and the customer groups which they try to appeal. For example, if I want to be a vital brand, what am I talking about? What brand should I be? What should I have in my adverts? Who is my target group? Who am I talking to? Who is my customer? What would you like to see on TV that appeals to you, that will make you remember me and like me at the same time? Should I be somebody that likes to embrace innovation? Yes, if we're trying about that we are open to new experiences, innovation has to be in the name of the game. Exploring new emotions, definitely. Do I have to be an extrovert or an introvert? An extrovert, right? So, if I am in that circle as a brand, it means that in my communication, I should talk about freedom, I should talk about passion, I should talk about adventures, I should talk about energy, I should talk about feeling alive and doing things, experiencing things as much as I want. On the other hand, if I am a company that I want to empower my customers, if I'm a dominating company usually in the market, what do I need? I need to show that I have power. I need to show that I have status, pride, definitely fashion, because I'm a trendsetter at the same time, and of course, richness. These are all, each one of these circles represents exactly those types of emotions that a brand should appeal to in order to be successful, but first of all, to understand. I will not go into detail in all of that. I don't want to make it boring for you. But we take then the consumer as a human being, and each of those things that we saw just a bit earlier needs to then answer these questions. So if my brand is a brand that should appeal to people that have a strong sense of belonging, usually brands, for example, like Nivea, brands that connect mostly with motherhood or with products or services that relate to families, because these are usually the products that need to convey a sort of comfort for those that will use them. So they should answer this question: how does this brand help me care for my family? So how does Nivea help me care for my family? Or I can take all the brands of detergents, for example. If you see at the center, it's a brand that is actually helping the mother or the woman of the house, who is the decision maker about the detergent, how to make her life easier. Why? Because less stains, children are happy, mother is happy, no screaming. So it basically serves that purpose, and it answers that question. All these are important questions that relate the consumer at the center of the circle to the brand with regard to where they need to be. With that Telecom and Eagle Mobile, what we have chosen to answer is this: how can the brand offer me more energy, more force, and more vitality? Why have we chosen that? Because being in a telecommunications company, which is also one of the most dynamic industries in the market by far, a very changing industry, the innovations in this industry are absolutely humongous, and they are also going on with a speed that's never been recognized before. So it's all about being open to new experiences, being open to look at new applications, being open at trying new services like IPTV, which has never been done before. It's something that's only 3-4 years new for the whole world. Being new to completely changing the way we relate to our telephone, that it's no longer just a telephone. It's something that connects you to your friends, to your family, to your peers, to work. It's your walking office. It basically allows you to catch news wherever you go. It allows you to stay connected to your family wherever you are. So it makes these distances very, very short. So it's all about improving experiences. However, because this technology is so rapidly changing, it also means that we outgrow ourselves very, very quickly. It means that we also have to all the time be able and be open to learn new experiences. I'm very sure that most of you, when you go back home, you very often laugh at your parents, that they don't know what's WhatsApp, what's Viber, what's this thing called Facebook that you basically put everything you do all day, including I'm going to the bathroom in 2 minutes. What is Instagram? What is this new mania of my child all of a sudden wanting to do everything and show it to the world when he's right next to me and he doesn't even say hello? So both parents, children, co-workers, colleagues, boss and employee, all are totally new to a very, very new way of developing communication in general. That requires that, okay, you are now in your 20s, as you go along in your 25 and over, and then 30s and 40s, you still should remain, or are assumed to remain, as open to getting new technologies. And at the same time, just imagine that you are learning very, very quickly. Are your parents learning as quickly? how to use all the different things that are nowadays available. I know my mom can hardly use the remote control for the smart TV. I have to show her just more than 2 buttons, one that controls the channels and one that controls the volume. If there is anything else involved, it's a nightmare. So all this, it is very important for Telecom and Eagle Mobile to show that at the center of the communication, at the center of offering the service is not just the idea, okay, I'm offering a product, here it's 100 minutes, bye-bye, it's done. It's also how would you use them? How has our world changed because of these offers that we're doing? If we are to place in this circle, basically that answers the previous questions, the current operators of the mobile market. Can anybody here tell me, for example, where would I place Vodafone? Your power to you, I know, but where? So where would you place them in this? Which question? Here, right? Show off, get praised about how you get connected. It's all about power. It is one of the biggest companies in the market. If I were to place AMC, this is, by the way, when we get into the real world. Until now we talked a little bit about theory and how it should work, the model, understanding the model. Now is applying the model. And when you get out there and start working, these are the real questions that you are going to be faced with. So tomorrow when you start working at Telecom, you have to tell me, where is AMC in this circle? Okay, let me help you a little bit. If you have noticed, I will just tell you a few things about the communication of the advertising of AMC. Always at the center is this, yes, young people, of course, all the way, but it's how AMC helps people to care about friends, to care about family. It's about making the life easier. It's about this idea of belonging to a bigger group.
That's fake. Not realistic at all.
What does it mean it's fake?
In essence.
What do you mean?
No words. Yeah.
We will get...
Unconscious dictatorship.
Okay, we will get to what the more elements of a brand are in a minute, because we will see later, it's not that funny, this is one of the key elements, saying something about the brand, and if you're not consistent to actually do it, does actually cause really strong reactions that are negative from the end consumer to the brand itself and to the company. So also the level of product and the level of service is key to having a powerful brand. AMC, at least as it claims to be, in communication is here positioned as a brand. Where do you think Plus is?
There was something about surviving.
Not only financially speaking.
Leave the light and see.
Why do you think Plus is not at all? Okay. But it's, think about, we're talking about the positioning of the brand. We're not talking about how many people use it. This is a different story. Yeah.
I think it's Plus, both and we care about it.
No, it's Amazon.
Yeah, there it's AMC. It's somewhere here, positioned. If you look carefully at their communication. So forget about a moment about the financials of a company. This is another, we're talking about how the company is positioning itself. Then how it is perceived by the customer, that is a different story. So you are now in the shoes of a marketeer, the marketing manager that is trying to position the company in the market, not at the consumer side. The consumer side is what, I don't know your name, sorry, but what he said, that yeah, they say something, they mean something else.
Yeah.
Okay. here was our darling, our Telecom and Eagle Mobile. Until about a year ago, our Telecom and Eagle both were positioned here, and I will say why. Because until about a year ago, the company was communicating only one thing in the market, and it was doing a hard sell, and was not talking about any emotional appeal at all, except for the one and only, check how much you spend out of your pocket. So it was appealing that need of the consumer to be in the control area of finances. This doesn't mean that none of these things apply. It only means which one is that need that is more dominant compared to the others. So this is not an exercise where everything is mutually exclusive. These do not exclude at all one another from being there. It's just which one is more dominant. So one of the biggest decisions that we took was that, especially after the first focus groups that we had, was that, okay, Eagle has been trying for years, and Telecom as well, to show that they are a company actually for people that are sensitive to their pockets. And yet, we find that people are not so sensitive to this message at all. They're not responding. So yes, the company is in the market. Yes, it is doing well, but not as well as we initially thought, because although Eagle was the cheapest operator, it didn't have the largest number of subscribers in the market. This is quite odd, isn't it?
Was it a new brand? How can that not subscribe?
Not necessarily. Just because you are a new brand, actually, it might work vice versa.
Starting from 2007, you cannot conquer the market, even if you give it for free. People will still buy.
If you give for free, I'm sure you can conquer the market. However, when Eagle entered the market, for the first 2 years, it was a great success story. So for the first 2 years, actually, it did conquer the market for in terms of subscriber numbers.
Vodafone won the tender for 3G.
Yes. Then what happened? Exactly. What do you as a consumer care if Vodafone won the tender for 3G? Winning the tender for 3G does not give you fast internet, believe me. So until actually Vodafone was able to offer 3G, which was about 18 months after they won the tender, there were already two other operators, with 3G in the market. So, I mean, there is something very important here, if you realize. So it's not that really you felt that in your pocket you had a faster mobile network. It's the perception that Vodafone won the 3G tender, therefore, in your phone, now you have 3G speed.
The perception that Vodafone
Exactly. Very, very few people actually knew that until about 7 months ago, Eagle's GPRS, which is 2.5G, was faster than Vodafone 3G. And if I ask anybody here, what does it mean 3G? What speed can you achieve? Do you know? Yeah, third generation, I know what it means. But what speed does actually 3G mean? What speed?
What about 3.5?
I will tell you in a minute what 3.5 is. It's definitely higher.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I'm just asking, how many people know actually what 3G means?
It's up to the network up to 4 megabits, as I know.
It's much more than that.
Much more.
Yes.
It's up to the network coverage.
Yes. Okay, so in laboratory conditions, it can reach even 21 megabit per second in download, and it can reach 18 in upload. In real life, it goes about 8, and in some places, in some areas, it goes up to 11. But is this something that, I mean, if you don't know, and you are all in your early 20s, if not younger, what do your parents know about 3G? Does anybody know here if a customer that experiences more than 4 megabit per second speed, if they can realize the difference between 4 or 6?
After 4, it's impossible, especially with smartphones. It's impossible to understand. After 4, it's impossible. Maybe by computer.
You are reinforcing in a very natural way some very, very strong beliefs and some very important points that I want to make. That it is one thing to be empowered with all this new technology, and of course, if you ask somebody that works in telecommunications, they can tell you much more details about what 3G is, what speed you can reach, download, upload, what the difference is between LTE and 4G, what is the next generation going to do. But actually, at the end consumer, how much does this mean? It doesn't mean much, first of all, when there is no experience at all. It doesn't mean much, second of all, when the person is not able to tell the difference of one from the other. However, it makes a whole world of difference what you think it means and what you have been fed up or fed with to think. And this happens through advertising, through marketing. Let's go back to why we wanted to change our positioning. So, as I said, our story in Alt Telecom and Eagle Mobile was that, yes, we were this company that wanted to convey in the market that we were cheaper than the others, and indeed we were.
I obsessed in one point, and the size of circles represents the strength of
how strongly they are positioned in that particular area. Yes.
Must represent.
Yes.
Eagle Mobile has
yes, because this is a position that's changed very often. It's changed from year to year. It's moved from here to here, a little bit there. However, for example, these guys have been in this position, in this market positioning for more than 7 years. AMC equally relying on the same principles. Yeah.
One question, I don't know the details. How many different, what's the difference in years in founding or privatization of Alt Telecom than foundation of Eagle?
They were done almost at the same time, or a year apart.
Then how come, I don't get it, if you compare the same one with T-Home in Macedonia or ex-Mobilman, you people could not get the market of also mobile. Because you had, something monopoly in your hand somehow.
This is what I'm trying to get at. So this was also a question that I wanted to answer when I joined Alt Telecom, because there was this big giant in the market, there was this little guy in the market, or little girl, and they were not as successful as their counterparts in other regional and other European, even global markets, where actually having the biggest telecom company was a big deal, and you could get the rest of the mobile market easily as well. So one of the biggest problems was that, okay, the company positioned itself as being really, really cheap. What did this mean to the consumers? Not much. How many of them actually understood that this was the case? Not many. Vodafone kept on and on with the Vodafone Club being number one, being the cheaper, the on-net tariffs being in a great way in a big community that people are able to communicate freely and cheaply with one another, and they reinforced this as a message for about 5 years, and it brought them great results.
So did Eagle with green earrings, I think?
For only 1 year. So this is one actually of the issues, that Eagle moved from one positioning to the other quite often. It didn't stick there for a long time. But most of all, going back to this, is that we only appealed on a rational level. So we only said we are cheaper. That's all. No emotional appeal whatsoever.
The big fault of Toyota until last 5 years.
Exactly. So in other markets, in other industries, this case has been typical the case for all those brands that actually bring something to the market which should be much more appealing. So in the automobile market, cases where cars that are meant to be a cheaper version of another good brand supposedly are meant to sell much faster and much better, and in fact they don't. So this is one of the main reasons why we decided to move and to stay once and for at least 5 years, to a different position, to one that allows us to tell people you are there to experience what telecom is about. You are there to experience telecommunication, you are there to experience internet. We'll give you tools to use. However, with a big difference that now we wanted to add emotional attachment to our brand. So our communication had to be vital. It had to be about emotions. Sometimes negative emotions, go with it. Sometimes very positive emotions. But one thing is for sure, never ever again were we going to go only appealing on a rational level. Number 2 challenge, especially for Eagle as a brand, is that if we put 2 things which are very important for a brand, one is recognition. You mentioned it earlier, right? So how many people recognize Eagle Mobile? I can tell you how many there are, because in all surveys, the recognition level of Eagle Mobile and even Telecom is 98%, which is fantastic. We cannot ask for a better result. However, if we asked people what regard they have about the brand, if we asked them, when we did this exercise last year, what did they think about Telecom and Eagle Mobile, the answers we took were not very nice. So yes, we know it, but it's not a good company. Yes, we know it, it's there, but who cares? Yes, we know it is this big company that my parents used to use. I think they have still a phone at home, but... So regard, it's something that is actually more important sometimes than brand recognition. The typical fantastic result for any company would be to be here, to be leaders, which means they have high awareness of their brand, but also high regard for their brand. Usually, companies that are here need to work on brand recognition, so they need to work on billboards and have much more PR and to be much more present in the social media. Why? Because they need people to recognize them. If they see their logo or if they hear their name, they need to have some attachment of the brand name with the service. So this is where they invest. But to be here, it's a very difficult position. Why? Because everybody knows who you are, but they don't like you. So what do you do when everybody knows you, but they don't like you? I wouldn't say change. Yeah.
You said 98% the brand
yes.
of Eagle Mobile?
Yes.
But now you have rebranded, so how much you think that percentage can be?
This is where I'm going. Don't worry. So, it was a little bit longer as a process. I'm sorry, if anybody needs to go, they can go. I mean, this was a really interesting exercise, and it would be very valuable for you guys to understand what goes behind it. So, the big question was, fine, we've got this brand, people don't like it. What do we do? If we change it, and let's say we call tomorrow ourselves, we're going to be called, I don't know, Floreta Mobile. People will say, who's this? What does it mean? Is it a new company? Or is it an old company? They've changed their name? So what? Who cares? So what do? Do we play with, they recognize us, let's try to get some more regard? Do we go from ground zero? They don't know who we are. We come as a ghost, new company in the market, and work both on regard and recognition. Which step do we go? So we decided to go a little bit the hard way, because going back to ground zero is easier for some. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best way. So what we decided to do is, okay, we will modify. We will not completely rebrand. If you have noticed, we haven't changed the names. We still are called Telecom. We're called Eagle Mobile. We have both brands. We have the same vehicles that we used to have in Telecom and Eagle Mobile. However, we did a couple of things. We started with the logo changes.
Very bad.
My first
Just a second. Just a second. Just a second. Okay, just a second. I will get there as well. Sorry?
You expected that.
Oh, not that strong, but not that strong. But let me put it this way. What is the color of Red Telecom? It's a 100 years company. Thank you.
gradient red. You know,
Red.
Red and purple brown.
Hang on. Number 2, in the whole world, which one of the big companies still plays with gradients? None. So, gradients are dead. Gradientat.
Yeah, but you killed it. There was life there.
What
Those
life did we
colors,
come?
really, I'm serious. This is my opinion again. Kill the life. What the world thinks.
Hang on. We did that as well. We did ask the world, don't worry. You were part of that world, 5%, it's okay. Not a dominating part. So, gradients had to die, so we killed the gradients. We had to keep a color that is representative of us. If you believe that the 4 colors of Eagle Mobile give life to Eagle, you are very wrong, because actually people thought we didn't have life as a company. This is a bigger problem for me than the 4 colors
The
of...
problem of the logo.
No.
The problem of those who killed it before.
Sorry?
Is the, look, the logo itself. I read 2 things differently. This is my, again, personal. Life with different colors. If you don't, as a staff, and as a company, if you don't put yourself in that expectation, is the problem of people that don't adapt to that life there. It's not the problem of logo. If
No.
adapt and come with a success to come to that life, it's not the problem of logo.
No.
Was I clear?
You are very clear, but we are reversing the whole process. It doesn't go like that. So rebranding, it's got many things in. So changing the logo color, actually going to the logo of Telecom as the dominant color, as the prevalent color, as the color of the company that's been here for 100 years, whose values we need, first of all, doesn't mean removing the life from Eagle. Second, this does not mean that this is the only thing that's going on in the company. So, sure.
Is there a relationship between Blue Chrome by changing the colors?
Actually, this was no. Okay, it's better to get rid of some urban legends because it's not fair, right? So when actually, if you guys want, you can check it. It's very widely available in even in Google Chrome itself. The logo of Eagle was actually came into market before Google.
But Blue Chrome can buy the colors.
Sorry, you don't buy colors. No.
You can buy.
Colors?
No.
No.
You can make Eagle change the colors by.
That's different issue.
No way for you. Okay.
No, it doesn't really work like that. Okay, it doesn't work. You cannot buy a color in the whole universe and say this is my color. You can buy a star, yes, and call it Floreta Zhulali, but you cannot buy the color red and say it's mine. So it doesn't exactly work like that. But I will tell you one thing. Yes, I will tell you why. Colors are important. Don't you think that nobody took care of identifying why this was the prevailing colors? So focus groups were done for everything. And I will tell you one thing. If we did the logo blue, tell me which company do you see usually with a blue color? What else? AT&T. Forget about telecoms. In Albania, you don't see AT&T in Albania. You walk the streets. T-Mobile is not blue. It's pink. Sorry? Epoka University. Okay, I'll give you some help here. If you go around the streets of Tirana and the streets of Albania, 95% of the banks are blue. 95% of the banks are blue. Why? Do you know why? Why is a color that actually represents the need for safety? Now, going back to what we said earlier, that's why I said don't look at those boxes only as a theoretical approach. They actually make some sense. So, going back, we said we want to be about open experiences, about vitality. Does blue tell you vitality, or does it say calms, the sea, the sky? What does it tell you? If I said tomorrow the company color is green, what does it tell you? Most probably you think we are now having in our company 5 different places where we recycle things. I will come to the point and you will see I'm not proving your point.
Because you had all the colors.
So, out of all the colors, which one is the color that actually represents this desire for passion, for trying new things, and for being open and courageous in trying new things?
From your
Red.
colors, only from your own colors, yes? From previous 4 colors. From previous colors, only your own.
We tried also new colors. Orange, for example, was one of them, and it died miserably in the focus groups. By Albanians, strangely enough, Albanians recognize or regard the orange color as the worst color in the whole universe of colors. They think it's a color with no personality. So usually, actually, you know what's very interesting? The most 2 loved colors were either blue or red.
Representing our political views.
Exactly. Okay. Sure. I don't think. Okay. Let me ask you this thing. Okay, I am dressed today in a white suit. If you dress in a white suit, will you look like me? Okay, I don't think so. I have, sorry? If he will be a blonde lady?
More elegant.
If he will be a blonde lady, will he look like me? I can give you, sorry? People, I have a very, I didn't want to go to that quote right now, but actually brands are like people. They are like people. It is what sets you apart from your friend. You may dress the same, you are 2 different people. So having, why?
One by one.
And do you think that in the world there aren't so many brands?
In Albania, there are only 4.
Okay, how many of you know how many companies in Albania use red as their color? Okay, who says that in communication everybody should have a separate color? So if I chose blue, I would look like O2. If I chose orange, I'd look like orange. If I chose green, I'd look like AMC. The only thing to choose was white.
No, I think Turkish companies have red and blue and white here.
But why do you make it about having to look like something? Why build a model? Why not own a model is my question to you. So, okay, I can be red, so what?
But one has built some advertising by red.
Yes, so?
Who has to be?
But do you think, okay, let me ask you again, what sets you, again that same question, what sets you apart from your friend? The way you dress? The way you keep your hair?
Yeah, but you said
Yes?
you said orange is not like a color to be.
Don't know, I'm just saying, okay, this was things are not separated. I'm trying to separate them down for you so you understand the process. This is not a process where you have one color and you say, okay, I like green, I like blue, I like red, let's choose one. No. So if you remember in the first part where you were all so quiet, There is a psychology behind going this process. This is a very important exercise, you guys. It's not just going, oh, Vodafone is red. Oh my God, I have to go now. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. First, you start with where you want to be, what you want to be, and then if somebody else has the same dress, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? So the brand itself is so much more than color. When I asked in the very beginning, do you remember what I asked? What is a brand? What is it? I'm asking you again now. What is a brand? Is it the color? It's the color.
We had the whole semester. Come on.
Thank you. For the first time it was mentioned. Thank you very much. Okay, a brand is by definition, and don't forget it, it's not a product with color, it is a product with personality. And to go back to what you said, you know what's the biggest problems of brands in general? That they claim to be one thing, and when they result to be another, they're a fake, a fluke, a zero. Color, nobody cares about color. Nobody cares about color. Color is just a mechanism that proves one of the psychological places of where and how you want to appeal your target audience. It does not make your brand. Sorry? Orange, in the focus groups it was regarded as a color with no personality at all.
It's one of the most popular in England,
So?
so
Blue can be popular in Italy, so it doesn't mean anything. The important part, okay, let me ask you this. There is what they're called active brands and passive brands, and it will also help you with the colors. So there are some active brands, basically, that put you in certain places and certain situations, and make you think about it, and make you actually want to take action on it. Call for action, it's called. And there are some that aren't as active. For example, Nivea. Is it a good brand? Very good brand. But it's passive. Why?
It's not expensive.
No, passive.
In Albanian market. No, very market.
No, everywhere, everywhere. Because you don't know the definition. Okay. What is, okay, let me go to theory now. What is an active and a passive brand? A passive brand is a brand that tells you what's going to happen with you tomorrow. So I take the cream, I place it in my face, and I will tell you tomorrow you will wake up with less obvious wrinkles. This is a passive brand. So it's my experience, I show it to you how it works. Going to another brand, I have 5 people, I have invited everybody, we're all drinking Coca-Cola, so I'm into action, right? So I don't do it myself and tell you, if you do it as well, you'll feel fine. No, I'm telling you, it's a happy fest, so whenever you want to feel happy, there's a Coke there for you. So you make it an active brand. So this is also very, very important. Also, I mean, it goes back to colors if you want. So when you are, or when you want to be positioned as a brand, as an aggressive brand, as a brand about experience, everything has to be there, including making active brand, not a passive brand. So making a brand that tells you, that doesn't tell you, I tried it, you can try it too. No. But we put people in different places feeling certain emotions and being open to totaling your experiences so that that becomes, in a way, yours as well. The third one was how to move as a brand from known to loved. If you remember in a few slides ago, I said that at Telecom and Eagle Mobile last year, they were highly recognized brands. It's not that nobody knows them. However, if we counted how many people had strong positive feelings for them, which are brand lovers,
like marketing.
It was, exactly, it was very, very few. So imagine yourselves in this university. How many students do you have here? 2,000? 1,000?
More than 1,000.
Okay, so 1,000 students. Do they know that there is a marketing subject? Yes, they do. Fine. Okay, how many of them have actually taken a marketing course? Okay. 40%. Out of those 40%, how many have chosen to take actually a marketing major? Even less. How many of those taking a marketing major are actually here and call themselves marketing lovers? Same thing with a brand. How many people know Wild Telecom and Eagle Mobile? Everyone does. How many of those actually that know the brand have some regard for it? Neutral, not a bad one. How many of those have tried our products and services? And out of those that have tried our products and services say, it's a fantastic company, you should get one number 2. These are typically the people or the customers that the company wants to keep and grow in number. And then the challenges are how to get those that have no regard at all, or those that don't like our color, to like our color. And then once they like our color, yeah?
But after 100 years, how come our telecom have no regard? 98% of everybody knows our telecom.
Yeah. One of the major reasons was that it was a state-owned company for a long time. And as a state-owned company, it went through all the phases of dodgy attempts of privatization, and then after privatization, lots of changes in the network, lots of changes in the ways how the service was provided. I mean, until about 10 years ago, people actually had to pay the technician to come home, bribe them, so that they could get a line. Now, Telecom is begging everybody to give a line. At Telecom, we have recognized that. So, in this whole rebranding process, I mean, some very, very important things that have been learned is that the brand is not one color, it is not one name, it is not only just experience, it is all these things together. Basically, the brand is what we sell, what we give service, with a personality around it. And in communication, this is very important how it is manifested. So the first thing was, first of all, these two companies are together. So the first thing is people should recognize that these are of the same company. There are two brands, but of the same company. And this was the reason why the colors were stripped out of all the gradients. This was the reason why all the other colors were removed and only Telecom colors prevailed. However, the rebranding process is not finished. This is only step 1, because not everything can happen in one day. So you have only seen part 1. There is 2 more parts. Usually rebranding processes take about 2 to 3 years. So you have only seen part 1. There is much more coming. This is what is at the core of the change. And this is much more important than the color or the white or the black or the green or the blue logo. This is the key of the change. For me personally, this is the hardest thing to change. So, in this part here is what you see. In this part here is what we are. So this is our values, our Telecom values. What do we think in our big company? What values are we driven by? What corporate culture do we have? And by corporate culture, I mean from the smallest things to how we say hello in the morning to each other, to when I receive a phone call from anybody here that asks me, can you help me get a number? And I'll say, oh, no, I'm not in sales, bye.
You won't get another call.
Exactly. So that is one of the most important things to change, the corporate culture. and the personality of the company. The personality meaning, what do we want to tell you? Do we want to tell you we are the biggest company, the best company, the youngest company, the craziest company, the immature company, the incompetent company? What do we want to tell you? This shows into the brand. And what is the brand? The reflection of what we think we are. So if we think now that with the new communication campaign, we believe that we are a little more responsive to your needs, are we more responsive to your needs? Are our products better? Culture, like I said, are our sales force better to you guys? So if you go to an telecom shop now, or an Eagle mobile shop, do you get better service? Does the person smile at you? Do they say, please come back at another time? Do they know the product? Do they ask you, what do you need? How can I help you? And then, of course, is the physique. The physique of the company is the collectiveness of all communication. It is the logo, it is how we use the logo, how we use the image of the company, how often people are in the media talking about it, what personality we use to represent the company, like Elvana Jata that we chose, the young music diva in Albania. So, but this is the most important part, and this is the brand. And this is what you see. So that part that we discussed so emotionally together a bit earlier is just one small part here. It's, yeah.
I love this commercial with the brunette, the blondie.
Of course.
What is your feedback about 2 or 3 last commercials of Eagle Mobile? About their first time?
The best feedback that I have from the commercial is the business results. So when you start working tomorrow in a marketing department of a corporation, nobody's going to ask you, do you like the advert? They're going to say, okay, how many new customers do I have? Did you sell the product? Did your message go through? Do people know how to use it? So commercials, don't you make the mistake that think that everybody, all the commercials are always going to be the best of the best of the best. I have been in this job, although not only in this company, for a long time. If you ask me how many commercials do I love, maybe I can count with less than the fingers of one hand. Because not everything appeals to me. I'm not the target group for all of them. So there are many, many things that contribute to that. Most of the commercials for telecoms don't appeal to me at all because I'm a very different customer from, I'm not a prepaid user. I do not buy bundles. And most of the communication is about this. I don't use as heavily social media as people your age. So I'm a very, very different target group. So I do not expect everybody to like them. It's not about liking them. However, the fact that you do remember them enough to talk about it, it is also, sorry? For good or for bad, it depends very much how much you are appealed to. Something that doesn't appeal to me personally, usually either I don't relate to it at all, or I relate to it in a negative way. Because it doesn't appeal to me. Either I don't care, which is even worse than caring enough to talk about it in a negative way. I mean, in PR, my favorite PR guy here will say that no bad PR is bad PR. Everything is good PR. It's worse not to be talked about than being talked about.
I have this discussion, and I don't know, how long have you been in Telecom?
About less than a year and a half.
Now, to me, as an economist that knows a bit of marketing, but a lot of psychology and philosophy, I have a feeling that the guys who bought this company had nothing to do with communication or telecom or I don't know what. Okay? Yeah. They learned it on the way. No. comment if I'm wrong.
Go
They
ahead.
learned it on the way, the owners, even the first management, the second manager, whatever. And somehow with this, which you criticized it, I think it's a good one, the good start, the cheaper one, logic, which the first time I got that then, when it was cheaper. Then on the way after they got certain market, they kept on learning about the job itself. And today, quite frankly, if you compare the mobile, I'm speaking, with Macedonia, I'm more than satisfied with Eagle. More than satisfied because I had two different companies in Macedonia, problems with the antennas, no wireless, no, I don't know, a lot of problems which are much bigger than Eagle. Please make a comment.
I cannot comment a lot on it because, okay, 5 years ago I wasn't here, so I'm not sure I can, and it's not also very nice to say negative things about your... But what I can say is that definitely when Eagle came into market, there was a big need for having more competitive pricing. I mean, the industry was basically locked between two operators who had some sort of spoken or exactly, some sort of agreement that was never published anywhere, and of course the end consumer was suffering from it. So to start off, to say that finally the mobile operator that actually cares about your pocket has come into market, it's not so bad. However, like everything else, being cheaper is not sustainable for a long time, and second, doesn't always say a good story about you. However, the biggest problem was not just the fact that they entered with the positioning that they're cheaper. The problem was that it wasn't sustained for a long time. So once you have a position, if you don't sustain it, it becomes a big problem of itself. And I think that one of the greatest stories that, why I believe also that Eagle Mobile, it's a very interesting case study for students, not just to show it as a good example or as a bad example, but something that deserves a lot of study and critical thinking, especially for marketing students, is the fact that there are a lot of things done the right way and a lot of things done the wrong way, which have proven a lot of marketing theories, but also have put a big question on quite a few marketing theories. So when you actually make such a big proposition in the market and you claim it, but you don't own it, so you don't do anything to own it, it's doomed to fail. However, price positioning companies are definitely don't sit in the market for too long. I mean, price wars don't get any company. It's not sustainable for a long time. It's very, very short. This is the one that I wanted to say for the brand. So thank you for saying the personality. I mean, this is the most important part. The brand is basically a product with personality. It's not just color, it's not just vehicle. This is just something to make you memorize, so that it's the 7-second rule. The 7-second rule on TV, which is the most used medium for advertising, is that if you don't recognize me as a company within the first 7 seconds of the advert, my advert's gone, because you only have attention of 7 seconds. So this vehicle that's called the logo, that's what it's used for. Or when you walk and you see 200 different logos, you recognize it. But people don't have a feeling for logos. Nobody has a feeling for logo. I don't think that anybody can even say this logo is good or this logo is bad. It's just taste. Nike is the cheapest, most unimaginative logo I've ever seen. It's just a check. When you do okay, you just check. Exactly. So, no, they love the brand. They don't love the logo. So
A pair of Nike shoes without the swoosh, do you think they would buy it?
exactly, they buy the brand, not the logo. The logo in this case is to No, the logo is not a brand. So this is what I'm saying. The logo. Exactly. Once if you've had a pair of Nikes and you've been very, very satisfied, you want to be recognized with that. So that vehicle recognizes you. So you love the experience of Nike, and we're here to stay. And in that regard, we want to be perceived as aspirational, as reliable, as authentic, as leader, modern, and social. Thank you very much for being here.